They say here in Brussels all the time that the answer to any crisis is always more Europe. What's embarrassing for the European Commission right now is that there's an increasing number of countries who think that the answer to getting the vaccines quickly is actually less Europe or no Europe at all. There is nothing to stop an individual country going ahead and securing the supplies for itself. But it's the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. And when you have an institution of the European Commission which is under so much pressure and under so much criticism recently, and you start to see countries like Austria and Denmark who've announced they're going to develop their second generation of vaccines with Israel, one of the superstars of the vaccination rollout. When you have Hungary, which has gone ahead and bought 5 million doses of the Chinese vaccines Sinopharm, 2 million doses of the Russian vaccine Sputnik. The Czech Republic has said it's going to do the same with Sputnik. Slovakia got the first of its 2 million doses of Sputnik yesterday. Also on Monday night, Poland's president began to talk about the possibility of buying vaccines from China in a call with Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader. So what we have is a building up, a sort of a snowballing of a sense of countries splitting away from this slower, more cumbersome joint procurement scheme in order to get their own supplies. And that is not a good look, especially not when such huge players, such huge importance, political importance, has been assigned to doing everything together. They say here in Brussels all the time that the answer to any crisis is always more Europe. What's embarrassing for the European Commission right now is that there's an increasing number of countries who are deciding, looking at countries like Britain, like Israel, Serbia, who think that the answer to getting the vaccines quickly is actually less Europe or no Europe at all. People in Brussels are saying, well, we wouldn't have had so much problems if we had more of the kind of powers that national governments have in order to steer health policy. No, but they're not going to get that when more and more people are looking at what's happened and seeing it as a failure. I mean, is this entirely fair? I think if you're being scrupulously fair, you have to say that the blame does need to be sort of split, because even when the doses have been secured, the pickup has been poor in some countries, and countries like France and Germany, countries you'd say comparable to Britain. It's a real mess. Actually, there's always sort of a risk of going too far whenever there's a crisis in the EU. There's often a crisis in the EU. This is not going to bring down the European Union. What it is going to do is possibly put the EU and EU economies at a disadvantage when economies begin to reopen. Countries like Spain, Greece, Croatia, these are all countries which are heavily dependent on tourism. And the sooner that you can get your country back on its feet and operating in some kind of normalcy, the greater the rewards